The Indian Association of Structural Engineers, also known as IS-Struct-E, was conceptualized and constituted in the year 2002 by a group of senior professional structural engineers from all over the country. IS-Struct-E is registered under the Indian Association of Structural Engineers, also known as IS-Struct-E, was conceptualized and constituted in the year 2002 by a group of senior professional structural engineers from all over the country. IS-Struct-E, in the short span of 2 decades, is registered under the Indian Association of Structural Engineers, also known as IS-Struct, is valued very highly in the profession. Since inception, IS-Struct-E has been led by eminent structural engineers like late Shri Mahendra Raj, late Shri Kumar Ghosh, Shri Subhash Chand Mehrotra, Professor Mahesh Tandon, Shri Alok Bhaumik, Shri Manoj Mittal and Professor R. Pradeep Kumar as its president. IS-Struct-E is a permanent member of Engineering Council of India and interacts with the government on professional and policy matters related to civil and structural engineers. To expand its reach, IS-Struct-E has collaboration with various international professional like-minded associations and institutions. IS-Struct-E's prime objective is supporting and protecting the profession of structural engineering by upholding professional standards and acting as a mouthpiece for structural engineers in India. IS-Struct-E endeavor to ensure that its members develop the necessary skill in structural engineering and work to the highest standards by maintaining a commitment to professional ethics and standards. IS-Struct-E is actively engaged in organizing several continuing professional development (CPD) courses for structural engineers to help them update their knowledge and advance their career paths. It also conducts refresher courses for young and practicing engineers and student-oriented programs, seminars, workshops, conferences, technical lectures and discussions related to the latest technological advancements, and case studies are also organized regularly for members to enable them to continuously update their knowledge and skill set by interacting with the best minds from the industry. IS-Struct-E's activities are widely appreciated and known for quality technical contents. IS-Struct-E is also actively engaged in publishing its quarterly journal Structural Engineering Digest (SED), code commentaries, professional guidelines, and a monthly newsletter. IS-Struct-E's publications are becoming popular with time. IS-Struct-E has representation in various technical committees of BIS and IRC as well. Its members are actively contributing to National Code of Formulations. In the year 2020, IS-Struct-E started National Awards competition to stimulate interest in the structural engineering field and to promote innovative thinking and creativity. The awards are presented to the winners in recognition of their outstanding contribution to structural engineering in the categories which include Outstanding Structure, Outstanding Structural Engineer, Outstanding Woman Structural Engineer, Promising Young Structural Engineer, and Best Master's Thesis in Structural Engineering. IS-Struct-E is currently operating from 4 regional centers, namely Eastern, Western, Northern, and Southern, having its headquarters in Delhi to inculcate the professional culture and provide handholding to the budding engineers. IS-Struct-E has its student chapters in several leading engineering institutions as well. Membership of IS-Struct-E is open to all civil and structural engineers engaged in structural engineering profession. Members are elected based on their qualifications and experience in different grades as per eligibility requirements prescribed in the bylaws. Each application is carefully scrutinized before electing the members. More information about IA Struct E is available on its website www.iastruct.co.in.
Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good afternoon. And I welcome you all to this brainstorming session on draft engineers bill prepared and circulated by AICTE. And 10th April is the last date for submitting the comments. So today in this brainstorming session, we will try to discuss this draft. We will also try to understand the draft, various issues involved into this draft, and how it can be improved upon, and how we should send the comments to the AICT for to be effective and for the better outcome. So this will be the focus of our brainstorming session today. And today we have a very eminent panelist in this brainstorming session. And all of them actually have been involved into this engineers bill journey for a very long time. And they all know in and outs of this journey and this complexity of this issue. So I am very hopeful that we will get insight into this bill and valuable suggestions and the comments. And we will also take the comments and from the participants. And I think we are having significant number of participants also, and they can uh, send their comments in the question answer box, and we will take their comments also in the second phase of this event. So let me introduce our panelist first. So we have Dr. Udesh Kohli. Dr. Udesh Kohli is the chairman of Indian Council of India. And as you know, Indian Council of India was formed, I think, in 2002 or something, uh, for the purpose of engineers bill only. And Mr. Mahendra Raj was very instrumental in this. And till since then, ECI is working for this engineers bill. So we are very happy to be to for the engineer for the Dr. Udesh Kohli to be here. And then we have Professor Mahesh Tandon. I think in ISTechT, all of us know Dr. Mahesh Tandon. He is a well-known structural consultant for bridge engineer, and he is the past president of ISTechT, and he's also involved into this. And I think this draft, which is now we seeing this time, I think it came in 2019, I think, or
2020.
with his initiative when he contacted Dr. E. Sridharan so that he can write a letter to the PM, and then I think something mobilized in that time during that time. So we are very happy that Professor Mahesh Tandon is here, and then we also have Mr. Sudhir Dhawan, who is a past president of CEAI, that is the Consulting Engineers Association of India, and he's also involved with the engineers bill, and also he was quite active and involved into the EAG, the engineers action group, which was formed long back. So I think we will get very significant input from Mr. Sudhir Dhawan. And then we have Alok Bhaumik. Alok Bhaumik is, as you might be knowing, I don't know whether you know or not know, but Alok Bhaumik is a very experienced bridge engineer, and also he has been elected as the president for the term 25-27 recently. So he has just taken over. So he is joining today as the president also. And then we have Mr. Surya Prakash. Surya Prakash is Hyderabad based, and he is also very active in professional matters. He is also now these days involved in Institution of Engineers in the Civil Engineering Division Board. And also he was very much involved with us in EAG and other matters. So we are all very active in professional matters. Similarly, we have Dr. Anil Joseph. Dr. Anil Joseph is also governing council member of ISTechT, and he is also the president of Indian Geotechnical Society. So we are very happy, and is very active engineer actually. And then we have Mr. F.U. Rahman. Mr. Rahman is the president of Association of Professional Graduate Civil Engineers. and they have a quite large network now, and they are working very much for the engineers bill and also for various council of architecture issues actually. So I am very happy that we will have meaningful discussions.
Good evening.
Yeah. So with this introduction, let me explain what will be the structure of the today's brainstorming session. So first of all, I will just try to explain, give the background of this of this event, and thereafter I will give 5 minutes each to each panelist, so that they can convey their views on the bill or their suggestions, whatever they want to say. And this 5 minutes will be uninterrupted. You will not be interrupted along during these 5 minutes. But it will be better if you can just avoid the duplications. If somebody has said something, so it will be better if second speaker should try to avoid to the extent possible, not absolutely, but as much as possible. And after the round is complete, then I will try to focus on certain specific issues which I already have noted down, and also which may generate from the initial remarks from each panelist. And then we will discuss those comments, and also we will take comments from participant. And we can also make any of the panelists as a audience as a panelist also, if they are so much interested. We will try to see that if there is a time. So with this background, let me just brief you something. विकास, ये कैसे होगा? Just
The green button.
okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let me give you the background. So as we were discussing before this event, that it has been a very long journey for the engineers bill, and we are not sure whether we are reaching the destination or not. But let just give me a background of this engineers bill, because many of the participants may not be aware about this issue actually. So as much as I know, which I got, this information I got from Mr. Mahendra, late Mr. Mahendra Raj, who was instrumental in initiating this engineers bill. So in 1970, a Barway committee was set up by the Planning Commission, and it identified the need for such a regulation in 1970. In 1991, first draft of engineers bill was submitted to the government by the Association of Consulting Engineers, ACEI. And then in 1996, a PIL was filed. In 2001, CPWD prepared a draft and submitted to the government. In 2004, I think ECI was formed, ECI, which was formed in 2002, I think, they submitted a draft to the government. And at that time, Institution of Engineer was also part of the ECI. And thereafter, in 2004, if you remember correctly, AICT also unilaterally issued a notification for the registration of the engineers, which were later withdrawn. In 2007, again, a consensus draft was prepared and submitted to the ministry. In 2019, PMO was approached, and then on the advice of Ministry of Education, AICT formed a committee to draft a bill, and with some modification, it was sent to the Ministry of Education in 2020. And in 2021, Ministry of Education dropped this bill, stating that it may be considered only when NHERC, that is the National Higher Education Regulatory Commission, and Higher Education Commission of India, that is HECI, is formed under NEP 2020. NEP means National Education Policy. So they just dropped this bill. They sent a letter to us. We got this letter, and then thereafter, in all of a sudden, in 2025, recently in March, AICT now issued this draft, which is nothing but little modified version of a 2020 draft. Now, it looks like AICT is in hurry. Looks like yes, it is a hurry as it evident from the quality of the draft and very short time given by them for the discussion, debate, and sending the comments. 10th April is the last date for the submission for the comments. So this is a history, this is a journey basically. So anyway, we will send the comments by 10th of April. Uh, so when this draft came, I think many of the professional bodies are still they are deliberating. They are just trying to make their own comments, and their comments of each body may also vary. But it doesn't matter. At today, we have panelists from different organizations. It is not necessary that they will reflect the views of their associations. Not necessarily. There can be, because it's a brainstorming session, so there can be some new ideas also. This is my point of view. So when I went through this draft, so there are certain points which came to my point. I think just to brief the members, the participants. Preamble nowhere talks about the. Just a minute. Yeah. Preamble nowhere talks about the scope of the council to take measures for the creating conducive ecosystem for the professional practice, and it nowhere mentions about preventing non-engineers rendering engineering services. No mention about legal rights of professional engineers. I think this should be considered somewhere. Panelists may give their views on it. The bill is supposedly for all disciplines, but tone and tenor of the bill do not reflect it. It has civil engineering focus. At one point, it is mentioned that grading of the engineers will be required, but I don't know why the grading of the engineers will be required as mentioned in point B. We can deliberate upon it. Then in this draft, there's a lot of place they have mentioned Washington Accord or entry of foreign engineers, etc. in this bill. Bill is unduly giving it so much importance, in my view. Are we planning to register non-engineers, non-Indian engineers also in this council? I'm not sure. It looks like the bill covers all engineers, all disciplines like government engineers, private engineers, professional practitioners, retired engineers, teachers, researchers, everybody. Are we sure that we want to include all these, whether this bill is needed for all such engineers or it should be for them who are practicing? So I think we should discuss this with open mind. Then as far as the constitution of IPEC is concerned, IPC is, I think, Indian Professional Engineering Council. They say that there will be a board of governor to oversee the functioning of the council. There will be 12 members. And after 12 members, 3 will be ex officio members, 1 secretary higher education, 1 chairperson GEC. I don't know what is the chairman. GEC, General Engineering, General Education Council. I'm not sure what it is. And then immediate past chairperson of the council. These 3 will be ex officio members, and all 3 will be non-engineers, I think so. And then they say there will be 3 non-civil engineering background members. They are saying from directors of IIT, Triple IT, NIT, BIS, IANE. I don't know if there is any director of BIS. BIS is a director general. I don't know. Then 3 outstanding civil professionals and 2 non-civil engineers to be nominated by Ministry of Education. And then they say the chairman should be an eminent person with 25 years of professional experience. It is not necessary that it is not written that he should be engineer or not, but they say he should be of the rank of the cabinet secretary. Most likely they are trying to say he will be a government officer. It looks like that. And then they say there will be members of the council. There will be 27 members, and they will be for 3 years. 16 to be nominated by the board. 16 to be by the board, and 11 will be from the professional bodies. Out of 16, 1 will be from Ministry of Education of the Joint Secretary, 1 chairperson of GEC again. 6 will be from Government of India ministries, and then 4 Triple IT, ISC, NIT, and 3 will be nominated by states. 1 from Industry Association, FICCI, and others, and 11 professional affiliate members. Out of that, they say one will be from institution engineer, one from IET, that is, I think, Institution of Engineering, Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering, one from I and AE, and 8 will be by rotation from the professional bodies out of 32 which have been listed in this draft. So I'm not sure whether these 32 is a complete list or whether this is a valid list or not, but they say by rotation there will be 8 from this. If you just go through this, this is my impression that it has very less representation from engineering bodies. Most members should be, in my view, most members should be from professional engineers. Chairperson should be a professional engineer. And if he is not a member of the council, then it will further be better. Too much representation from academic institutions there, I don't think it is required. And government should have minimal representation at present. They are dominating this board. I think this is not desirable in my view. And then they say IPEC will select and appoint LMO. LMO means licensed member organization to assess seven nominate engineers for registration of professional engineers as per the requirement set by IPEC. LMO. So basically, they are trying to say that this LMO, which will be selected and appointed by the this council, they will be responsible for selecting and assessing the members, and then they will recommend the names to this council for the registration as a professional engineer. So for the LMO, they are saying that they must have at least 15 years of existence apart from few more requirements. So yeah, seeing the large number of engineers in the last vast country, probably this may be a model, workable model, but I think a lot of check and balances are required. So I think we should discuss whether it is the right model or how to take care of it. And then draft also says all engineers with 25 years experience will be registered in the first register. So is it okay to have 25 years to register as it is, or they should be this 25 years experience requirement is also looks to be an arbitrary and to the higher side. Should it not be a competence-based system, just registering someone as a professional engineer simply based on qualification and number of experience? I don't think it will serve much purpose actually. So what about others? And 25 years should be reviewed. So I think we can discuss and deliberate on this issue. And then there is a para under power where they say power of the council, and in the para C they say they are writing that it talks about the creating body to design and formulate examination. And they are saying module 1, which will be common to all, and then module 2, which will be discipline specific. So I'm not very clear from reading this draft who will be required to appear in these examinations. If such a body will be created, then what is the role of LMO? And then what is the registration requirements for professional engineers? I think must be mentioned clearly in the draft. And then it is also not clear. At some places they are using the word professional affiliate. At some places they are using licentiate members. So I think I think they meant the same thing. Looks like that, but not very clear. And then they also have a provision of a executive committee to see day-to-day work. I think it's not a very complicated thing. And then they also have provision of an adjunct member. Basically, they are trying to say if there is some individual who is an expert, then council can appoint somebody as an adjunct member. He will not have a voting right, but they can do so. So in brief, this is this is a draft which I have understood, and certain points which I think we should be discussing. So we must discuss and deliberate on these issues, and then generate ideas, make a strategy so that we can send meaningful comments for the best outcome on this important proposed legislation. So with this background, let's begin the brainstorming session. So now, can I now request first Professor Mahesh Tandon to start the deliberations, and you You have 5 minutes. You can explain the draft or just what are the important issues you think should be considered, reviewed, or whatever suggestion you want to say. You will have 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mittal. And I will take 5 minutes because I think that some basic things need to be defined. As everybody has not been fighting the battle for 30 years, there are many youngsters who will be wondering what this is all about. So, Engineers Bill actually it aims to regulate the engineering profession through statutory recognition and registration, similar to other professions like doctors and lawyers, and is currently being considered by the government. The bill proposes the creation of a regulatory body known as the Indian Professional Engineers Council, IPEC, to oversee registration, monitoring, and regulation of the engineering profession. A little more about the IPEC or Indian Professional Engineers Council. It's if it is established or when it is established by an act of parliament, it will play a key role in for the following purposes: professional norms and standards, recognizing professional engineers in India, advising the government and its statutory bodies in developing the curriculum of engineering education. A little more about the National Education Policy 2020, of which Mr. Mittal had also mentioned, but a few things if it were not clear, I'd like to make it clear. NEP 2020 establishes the Higher Education Council of India, which will have 4 independent verticals: National Higher Educational Regulatory Council, NHERC. It's got many of these acronyms, but there are basically 4 verticals. The General Education Council, GEC, which Mr. Mittal was asking, what is it? This is for academic standards. Then there is the Higher Education Grants Council, HEGC, for funding. And then there is the National Accreditation Council, NAC, for which is that is what is going to be called. So basically, out of these 4 verticals which we have talked about, it is really the regulatory council, NHERC, what they call, which is of interest to or which is connected to the engineers bill. Under this, the engineers bill will come. What is the need for this engineers bill? We want a mechanism in the country that ensures that every engineer whose decisions impact the health and society of the society goes through a process of testing for having acquired the requisite skill sets and is accorded the status of professional engineer. It will ensure high levels of competence and high levels of professional integrity. So, the need for this is what I have just mentioned. Uh, there are a couple of more things which I want to talk about since I have been involved with it for the last 25 years, if not 30 years, along with Mr. Mahinder Raj and, of course, with Mr. Sridharan. Requirements of professional engineer status, that's one of the things that they have mentioned. Of course, the main issue is public safety is given paramount importance vis-a-vis built infrastructure. That is what is mentioned in the draft, including natural disasters. this is how one feels that seems to be more leaning towards civil engineers, which is not a bad thing because civil engineers need it the most. But in any case, this is something which I wanted to point out. Cost effectiveness and other aspects of sustainability to be taken into account to ensure economic use of natural resources. This, sustainability is the buzzword these days. Any conference you go to, whether it's in India or abroad, they are always talking about sustainability and these new uh, um um, new issues which have been brought up. For example, in structural engineering, life does not start and end at bending moment and shear forces, which we all know. Now they are talking about much beyond that, what a structural engineer, for example, should know and work on, and that is sustainability. Another thing that is mentioned is that anytime an engineer does not measure up to the high level of technical competence, professional honesty, and integrity, this status of professional engineer should be withdrawn. This is a part of the draft which is with you. Such a mechanism of regulation of the profession is possible only through a statutory body created by an act of parliament. Just two or three things that I wanted to mention. This particular draft is a draft which is much better than whatever drafts have come before this, because I have been involved in most of them. Uh, it's it still has some of the old hang-ups, which were there in the earlier drafts. They are still there. IPEC heavily loaded with government officials. Not enough understanding of what is the purpose of the engineers act, which the bill will become act finally. And what is it for? It is for practicing engineers. If you look at any country in the world which has got an engineers act, they mention that this is for practicing engineers. Of course, this does not mean that you can't have somebody from the teaching profession not a part of this, but that person of in the teaching profession should be involved with some practice. Unless he is a practicing engineer, there is no use his being there just because he is an IIT professor or something like that. The third thing is about this automatic PE if you have 25 years of experience. I think that this would not be correct. We should have a standard norm, a practice, maybe even a written exam or whatever you want to call it, and certainly an interview before anybody, even with 30 years experience, is before he is inducted and made into a professional engineer. So these are some of the drawbacks that I could straight away see, which is a hang up of the uh, last few drafts. At least three of them, more or less all of them said the same thing. But these are issues which I think we need to uh, discuss certainly. Okay, thank you very much. I think I have exceeded my 5 minutes.
No problem, sir. No problem, sir. No problem.
Although I was keeping a close watch on the
No issues, no issues.
time, but
Thank
okay.
you, Tandon Saab. So basically, you flagged three issues. Number one, you said the board council has a lot of government officials. It is not desirable. Then you also said that it should be for the practicing engineers. And you also said there should not be any automatic registration. It should be based on some interviews or examination or some such thing, right? So there are three things I think you raised. We will have a discussion on it. Next, I will like to invite Dr. Udesh Kohli for his views on this draft bill.
Thank you, Manoj ji. I'll be very brief so that I am within the time allotted. Some of the things have already been said. There may be some repetition, but we had prepared some comments from Engineering Council of India, which is circulated also. So everyone at least knows, and we'll update after this meeting. Some of the comments are common, but I think let me again say, because they need to be emphasized. First, we said that this is a council for professional engineering profession. So it should be, there's a bill is inherently flawed because it is not giving dominance or importance to the engineering profession, but the board and the council, they are formed by the board government, they're a regulatory body, and they're very big involvement, and they are controlling, so to say, in a way, which is unlike other professions like legal professions and medical profession. Medical profession, of course, recently they changed the law, but legal profession is still there, and the council is formed by the profession itself. This is what is basically. Here, even the practicing engineers are proposed to be not by the government, rather than by the professional association of engineers. So that means government does everything. This is a basic flaw. Second, the council is mainly for engineering profession, not education. Now, there are several classes which have been mentioned by you and Professor Tandon, where there is they bring education. I mean, they do this and do that for education. And secondly, there are a lot of academics in the council. Now, it is not for education, so academics should be only very few. There should not be dominance. And there should be only, out of them also, there are some practicing academicians who are consultants. They're part of the engineering, professional engineering bodies, so to say. So that is the number of academic nominees should reduce. That was the second point. Third point is, that's very important, it's not very clear. And somewhere they say something, somewhere not clear, that who does the registration? In other profession like bar council or the medical council, it is the medical council, they do the registration and they regulate. And then they have state level councils, where they do it through them. So they've asked, because there's a big number. Here we have been suggesting that registration be done by the professional engineering associations in the country. There are several of them. For every profession, there are association. This point has been said is indirectly there in one or two clauses. Sometimes they say licentiate, some professional affiliate. I mean, there are different terms used, but it's not very clear. The main function of the council should be to lay down the policy, lay down the criteria, lay down the guidelines, and lay down, and then they do the monitoring. But leave it to the associations to do the registration for respective professions. Then fourth point is the board of governors. Here is formed or nominated by the government. Board should be normally elected by the council. Once we form the council, then the council should elect the board. And board should be answerable to the council, not should be controlling the council. I mean, is there just the other way around? Fifth is the right of professional engineers. It does not clearly say what are the legal rights and safeguards of professional engineer to enable them to practice their duties with confidence and professionalism. And I mean, they should not be subject to various things which can happen if there are no protection for them. I mean, there could be laws and there could be criminal activities which can be attributed to them unnecessarily. Next, we have said is that there should be no other registration needed. Once an engineer is professionally registered, then it should be valid for all activities of practicing engineer. So no further need by a municipal body or by any other body. Again, that person goes and registers. It's much better that there's one registration. Next, we said, very important point, which was mentioned earlier also, the Act does not clearly debar non-professional engineers from practice. We define the practice and practice in the interest of society. Now, only the whole purpose of professional engineers is that only they can do the practice because they are answerable. They are subject to various regulations and so on. But it does not say. So even after the bill, if non-PEs keep on doing their practice, there's nothing, nobody can stop them, really. I mean, there's no law to penalize them. Normally, there should be punishment. There should be, if there's somebody is caught like that, there should be punishment, penalties, which should be specified in the act, and the procedure for that should be outlined. It's also not clear about non-Indians. Non-Indians, whether they non-Indian citizen can be registered or not, professional Indians. In several of the profession, only Indian citizens normally registered. So that doesn't say anything on that. Then there are some specific comments also. There were general comments, and then the board, as I said, heavily weighted in favor of government employees. The professional associate which is mentioned is not defined. The chairman of the council should be the chairman, not member of the board, so that there's a proper synergy. Members of the council, and then the professional associate members, the federation law, number of professional engineering association, they should be in the first list, which should be extended to 4 members. I mean, I added the name of ECI in that number, and not in the rotational members. And in the beginning, it says 11 representative licentiate member organization. But later it says professional affiliate member. So there is a confusion, really. There's not one term. Then in class 16.4, somewhere it mentioned a vice chairman. Now, there is no vice chairman position mentioned earlier, and how this position is to be created and how the person will be elected. And whether this person should be in the office bureau. They mentioned the office bureau there. Another general point which is there, that normally act like this. They specify the main clauses of the bill, main clauses in the act, what should be done and so on. They don't go in detailed procedures. Detailed procedures are generally included in rules. Rules are again formed by the government, by the ministry, and then the regulations. Regulations are created or formed by the council. So many of these things can be taken out because act cannot be amended again and again, but rules can be modified as the need arises. So they should be shifted there. Then there is a mention of General Education Council. Professor Tandon just now mentioned that's part of the 4 bodies under the NEP. But this such council is not yet created. If a council is not created, how does it find a place in this bill? I mean, is the intention is that first the council will be created and then the bill will come? Because you can't have a non-existing body given in the bill. So these are some of the points which I have highlighted in our comments, and we'll listen to the other comments also. We can modify these, but ultimately, I think today decision has to be taken whether several bodies they will submit comment separately. There may be overlapping, that doesn't matter and create more impact, or there will be one set of comment, which seems very difficult in a country like this, India. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Udesh Kohli, for your. I think whatever you have said, you have already circulated that through your comments have been already been sent to all the participant, I think. So yeah, so there was some repetition. Whatever you said, I think earlier we have already discussed so many things. So basically, you are saying that this draft is fundamentally flawed. It should be by the professionals, and it is not like many other drafts like Bar Council and others drafts. And then you are also saying that academic should be very minimum in this. The presentation of academic should be low, and LMO you are saying it is okay, and board should be responsible to the council, not the other way around. And you are also saying that it should be mentioned very clearly that no other registration will be needed if registered with the council. So true. So we can have a discussion on this several points. Now I will like to request Mr. Sudhir Dhawan to express his views.
Thank you, Manoj. And I think some of the points mentioned by Professor Mayston and Dr. Kohli are valid, and we agree to those. So I will briefly mention things. First of all, the bill has been is drafted in a very bad way. So there are many mistakes. There the definitions are up and down and all that. So we leave that out. Main thing is that we have to raise special important points. Like they are saying, the scope of work will be defined by the council for grading of engineers. So that is not right. It should be every client will define what should be the competence of the people they want to work for, like a bridge person or a highway or something. So that part should be left to the client, what qualifications and competence they need for their work. Second is grading of engineers, which Manoj you mentioned. I think this is very difficult. Who will do that? So, and it's not easy to do that. So we can mention that this could be graded. Then updating of skills. Now that is one point in one para 1C point. Who will monitor the updating of skills? And who will say that he has updated his skills from time to time? Now, they have mentioned about safety and sustainability. I think we should also add security. With the digital era coming, it will be very important to have security of what we do and how documents will go around, how AI will play its part. So security is also important. As all of you mentioned that there should be more representation of professional engineers in the council, so there is no doubt on that. We will do that. Now, LMO, I have one question. What is LMO? My view, it should be member association and not anybody else. And Dr. Kohli also mentioned that. Like CI or IS30 or IEI will certify that these members of mine are fit to be registered in the IEPC. So it should be LMO task should be member association. Other point is that many associations which are mentioned in that list, many of them probably do not render any professional engineering work. They are just an association of bodies which are working like IETITE. I don't know whether members of them render professional consultancy services or not. So there are in the list, there are many such which can be checked, who are eligible, who should be there. Third is the other point is the examination. No, my view is that it was earlier raised many years back, the government engineers need not take any examination. So if we have to add that, I would also say that existing engineers need not undergo any examination. They should be just certified and registered. Now we can define that who should be 5 years experience, 10 years, 20 years, that we can define, but they need not undertake examination at this age, like Manoj or Alok or Surya. So that should be also is not right. Last page of this bill, in the Council of Architects, we have to follow some of the other bills. Council of Architecture may be the right one to follow because the law ministry will follow that to make this one. And there is a protection of engineers and architects against any problem. You may remember in Chennai, one building fell down and the structural engineer was jailed without any investigation, without any inquiry, nothing. So there should be a protection to engineers from this point of this sort of a harassment. I think the questions or the answers that we all have are more or less similar. But now what is our task? We have to do some lobbying. And I think we have to also have media with us. Otherwise, the bill will again go to some cold storage. There are important political bills which will take advantage and they will come up and nobody will remember engineers. We are always excited that it is coming, which is happening for the last 30 years, but it is not coming. But I think let's make a push and let's plan a lobbying effort. Surya is the master in doing this. So Surya, you take over to do the lobbying, and all associations should join hands in contributing money to have the press. Now, for the press, we need to pay money. We have to spend money. I'm not saying paying them, but we have to spend money by all these. And second is PMO. Now, we should have a godfather in PMO who can push this. None of the ministries can do anything about it. And even ministers have little role. It will be PM which will guide. So thank you all, and hope that we will fight and win. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhawan Saab. Thank you. I think you raised some new points. Also, one point you said no grading is required actually, because ultimately the client have to appoint the engineer consultant, and as per the requirement they can just appoint. But there should be one category professional engineer, whatever requirement they should register that. Then updating of the skills, continuous professional development programs, and who will monitor, who will administer, and who will do it actually. So this is not very clearly mentioned in this draft. I think this is very important point. And then, yes, it is not very clear that what is LMO and what will the role of member association, professional affiliate association. I don't know whether they meant that LMO will be a subset of professional affiliate members. There will be some of them will be the associate members, other may not be, or I don't know. So yes. But my other point is, suppose there are more than one or two associations or professional bodies in the same discipline. Will all the two, three will do the registration?
No,
and
it is
assessment of the engineer?
mentioned, we will mention that only one association, like somebody a member of IS30 and CEI.
Yeah.
So only one association will recommend that name. So that member association will be responsible. One other point which I missed is is it applicable also to member companies like ICT or TCE or AECOM, AGIS? So that part, if that is so, then which are the disciplines? So there are 15 disciplines of these multinational or discipline companies. So will all that be listed? No, will it be only individuals or also companies?
Yeah.
This
And
point I
then
missed
you
it.
also made another important point that existing engineers must not be, should not be required to take written examination, maybe 5-year, 10-year, whatever it may be. So they may be registered,
Exempted.
maybe exempted from written examination, maybe based on their experience requirements or their work they have done or something like that. Probably they can be registered. And then lobbying and that other things too. It's okay. So now, may I request now, Surya Prakash. So now you are very active in Institution of Engineers and also other places. And Dhawan Saab also giving you the responsibility and the leadership of this movement. So now you can express your views.
Thank you, Manoj ji. Yeah, we are all meeting again and again for the same reason. I hope this present momentum will not be lost and it will see the day of light. And yeah, as you rightly said, right now I'm representing Institution of Engineers as a convener of Engineers Bill Task Force Committee. And you all know why I am in Institution of Engineers today. It is a fallout of our own thinking and decision. And I'm trying to work for exactly to see that Engineers Bill is enacted. And I've been working on that. Now, this present IPEC, I feel that definitely no bill can be perfect to satisfy all the members of this community. Definitely there will be some pitfalls and shortfalls, which we have to correct in the due course of time. But what I have seen is what you shared, CEI has given good comments actually. They have done right tracker corrections in the IPC draft bill. We can take it up as it is, whatever CEI has suggested. And common thing I'm seeing is every association wants one fixed position. This is what observation I'm seeing. ECI wants one position, IA wants more positions, and CEA definitely needs one position like that. But I feel that we should all resolve to say that at the current membership positions, there should be representation in the IPEC or BOG as a pro rata representation. The disciplines that we have. This is the stand of Institution of Engineers actually. Whatever registered members in the name of the organization, that should be the basis for considering the number of members, any organization. So if we all agree to that, that will be a non-controversial thing so that we can have the representation pro rata to the bodies. And next point is, I have just shared whatever CEA has commented also. Very important point, last they have added 2 points, the legality, legal protection to the professional engineers. Like it is mentioned also, Dhawanji, that when there is a collapse of building or bridge, first victims are engineers. In Hyderabad also, when there was a bridge collapse, they have arrested all 15 engineers supervising the project without seeing what is their role, what is the responsibility, all these things. So there should be a legal protection. Engineers should not be treated as criminals once this act is enacted. And next thing is the definition of the services, professional services, that should be there more clearly. And it can happen once the IPEC is enacted, the Board of Governors and IPEC should be allowed to amend these provisions to define more clearly what is the engineering profession and where. And many people are expressing doubt on LMO, licensed member organizations. Actually, we all know that some of our associations like Institution of Engineers is registering the professional engineers already. We have the SOP in place for registering professional engineers and international professional engineers. So such organizations which have the acceptable practice as per the guidelines laid down by IPEC in the due course, that should be made as a licensed member organization, which can be giving the registration to professional engineers, which will be accepted by the IPEC. So like that, in my opinion, there are Institution of Engineers has the process in place. So Institution of Engineers can also go with like for geotechnical engineers, IGS, for structural engineers, ISTructE, and for consulting civil engineers, ACCE, for consulting engineers, CEA. Like that, we have specialized bodies, and we have all the district level associations of engineers who are involved in the planning for the projects, which we have been fighting like 500 square meters or 1,000 square meters as per NBC. So they should also have to register, because it's not possible for central level one body to register so many lakhs of engineers, professional engineers. And there are so many special. I'm only focusing on civil engineering because we all know about civil engineering profession. There are so many specializations, whether it is a bridge engineer, like NHA is already implementing bridge engineer, highway engineer kind of registration. So if such process shall be adopted and accepted by new act actually. So LMO is nothing but authorizing these specialist organizations which have already got the process in place, and that should continue. That makes it easy. Instead of, like many people are saying, we should accept every engineer with an experience of 1 year or 5 years should be made professional engineer, which I don't agree with actually. There should be definite little more stringent, because professional engineer is a much specialist role, and we must definitely specify the experience in the specified area where we are registering the professional engineer by any organization, whether it's ISTructE or IGS. We should authorize these LMOs to register in those specialized roles. And at the end of it, what I want to suggest to all our fellow engineers and professionals is, if the bill is going through, it should be passed actually. Nobody should create any hurdle for passing of this bill, because we have experienced that earlier. We should all see that bill is enacted, even with some little bit pitfalls or shortfall. But later on, we all can correct it if any requirements are there. But the utmost important thing should be all of us should strive to see that this bill is enacted, because this is taken up by the government on its own, and it has passed through the hurdle of 2020, where they said NEP should be taken into account, and somebody commented IPEC is not having role in education. That is exactly why the IPEC 2019 was stopped. Actually, they will amend other associations, like COA or MCA or Bar Council. They will amend definitely delinking the education authority to these associations. So that I feel that we should all work to see that this bill is enacted, and we should give the comments as given by CAI or ISTT. We should all give the comments in unison, so that there is no conflicting opinion on this bill. And my proposal is that pro rata representation should be the main proposal in Board of Governors and IPC. I think I'll conclude here and participate later if anything is required from me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
One question, Surya. What about AICTE? AMIE?
Yeah, any graduate with an equivalent degree shall be registered with experience.
So AMI should also be mentioned then.
Yeah, it's an equivalent.
Yeah. That's what I thought. They should be mentioned.
Yeah.
Not diploma holders, but AMI.
So thank you, Surya Prakash ji. I think we can take your views as institutional engineers' views.
Yes, sir.
So you are saying that legal protection should be there and the definition of professional engineers, and you are insisting that it must get through. Somehow we should make effort. No controversial comments, no contradictory comments you want to say, and there should be pro rata representation in the board. You are saying like this. So I have few questions for you, but I think we'll take later. Before that, I will request now Dr. Anil Joseph to express his views. But I think your view will be from institutional engineer. You are representing. You are also from Geotechnical Society, so I think you can have.
Yeah, it's not important which
it is
I
not necessary that your view should represent some association or body.
So but then no, because we all are united together. I am a governing council member of Indian Association of Structural Engineering, and first of all, I applaud our team for coming up with this idea of debating with everyone. So first of all, congratulations to us itself. Then again, I am the chairman of the Civil Division Board of Institution of Engineers. Already Surya is in the task force. She expressed our viewpoint. And definitely Indian Geotechnical Society, I am currently the national president. But all with one goal, because it started with the Engineers Action Group. 2013, when we all met together in Delhi, all of us in this screen was there fighting for engineers to unite together. And I remember I addressing the meeting that one who design a building is called what? And the answer was architect. And there we wanted to correct it. Engineers should be given the role what engineers deserve, because safety and stability is in our hand. And one request I have, let us all be united. Architects passed the bill in 1972 because they were very clear. They know that they don't have, only the style is protected. But the bill is passed, it is an act. Today, I had an interaction with the AICTE chairman in the morning regarding this. So like my attendants sir pointed out, so he told that it has to be part of the Higher Education Council. Government is going to have control because they are part of the national education policy. It is going to come in. This will come in the General Council. So already it is explained. I am not getting into that. But this is a need of the hour. And there are so many things which has to be corrected. I have a long list, but already so many people have to talk in. But we have to be united to get the course done. Let the act pass and corrections will follow. And definitely we should have a system of grading also has to be there. And like Surya pointed out, representation has to be based on the numbers as well as the quality. Like suppose Indian Association of Structural Engineers is a specialized body. So they should be given specialized job. Bridge engineers should be given the specialized job. Indian Geotechnical Society should be given the specialized job. Like Institution of Engineers India, we have about 92,000 members in the Civil Division Board, of which whom I am chairman, but we have 15 engineering discipline. So once we make it big engineering discipline, here we all are civil engineers talking about this. So we have to make sure that we are able to capture the other engineers' viewpoint also, especially computer and all. Because Karnataka Professional Civil Engineers Act came, it is only for civil engineers. So it is more easy. But compared to the other engineering, we also have to make sure that the bill is going through and we should be all united, the number proportion, because what I understood is that government wants to keep the control. But we have to make sure that this is coming through and correction will automatically happen once the professionalism comes into the industry. So one who design a building should be an engineer and one who takes the safety and the regard of the society, because it is the safety that matters, beauty follows. But let us make sure that we should be united in this cause. And from Institution of Engineers India, Indian Geotechnical Society, ISRT, ICI, or whatever body, we are actively involved with only one goal, the dream of achieving the engineers bill. Now it is the time for us to be united, to be together, fight our cause, because it is not for us, for the generations, that we create a safe and sound structure. Because we know what will happen when a major earthquake hit India. So many buildings has to start undergoing retrofitting. There has to be screening. There should be a structural inspectorate. There should be a geotechnical inspectorate. And people who are not doing the job should be booked. Here also, yesterday I was appointed by the court to demolish a 30-story building. A building completed in 2018 has been asked to be demolished. Why? Poor quality of work and no proper engineering has gone in. No structural calculations. We cannot afford. It is the Army Welfare Housing building which I am going to implode. To demolish it, bring it down. So this is not right. We are spending our own hard-earned money because of no problem. 175 crores has been given by Army to doing the job. What a national waste. Unless and until we have a profession which is controlled, Manojji, we need to do something. And that is my humble request to all the engineers across the country. Let us unite together, fight for the cause, and get the Engineers Bill Act pushed over. And all of us have to do the listening work. Like our Sudhir sir was pointing about the importance of bringing press into the activity. Press, media, everywhere the discussion has to happen. And we all should fight for the right of the engineers. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Anil. True, yes, we should work unitedly. I agree with you. And this Council of Architecture issue is also very important. And I think the next panelist, Mr. Rahman, I think he is already fighting this issue. So I think he would like to speak something about that also. Mr. Rahman, now you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And good evening, all, say the panel member and the people who are attending and the engineers who are attending this workshop. See, most of the points I'll not repeat have been taken already by, say, our senior, members. Being from APGC, I'll just brief that APGC is a conglomerate of engineers and architectural engineers. So we are always at the longer head of with the COA. And with our, say, persuasion and efforts, we have successfully, say, got our, say, powers and to work independently with all the powers in UP and all the other, say, now UP APGC has 46 chapters across, say, 7 states. So first of all, it will be a humble request from APGC side that other association also supports inclusion of APGC in the IPEC. The general, because I would not like to repeat because most of the points have been taken over and Manoj must have already jotted down. But my simple, say, observation is that it's this bill is a bit, say, top heavy. It's not looking like a, say, practicing engineers bill. We need to emphasize upon this thing that this is a bill for practicing engineers. If you see the total, like 12 12 numbers in board, 27 in IPEC. So in 39, if you see, there will be maximum number of, say, 10 practicing engineers. And if you see the branches, then you'll find that 90% of the practicing engineers are basically from the civil engineering background. So we need to prevail upon this point. We need to emphasize this in our comments that if this bill is for the practicing engineer, let it be, say, this body shall have, say, majority of practicing engineer in it rather than, say, having bureaucrats or, say, professors. They have already, say, made, say, a lot of, say, bodies and such kind of, say, things which are non-functional. They have history of failures. This time now, this bill is for practicing engineers, so let it be with the practicing engineer. Let there be a control from the government. This government, say, imbibing upon, say, kind of giving, say, independence to people, then even they are trying to free the profession from education and all these sort of things. So our issue, our emphasis shall be that as it is a bill for practicing engineer, let there be a majority of practicing engineers in the forum. Let be a control from the, say, top, from the Ministry of Education side. And luckily we have a pragmatic, say, Minister of Education, Dharmendra Pradhan. He's from Bhubaneswar. He's a pragmatic and open-minded person. So all associations shall give their, say, comments. But what I suggest is that we make a combined, say, comments also, and have a kind of, say, one-to-one chat with the Honorable Minister. See, that cuts a lot of ice, because at the end of day, AICT will also go to Ministry of Education. So that is one point which I see, that everybody shall send their comments, but we also compile all the comments, make a kind of, say, summary. It will take a lot of time. So we have a time of, say, make a timeline of 15 days to make a draft and then meet the Honorable Minister. This is my personal suggestion, and we should, I feel this is going to, say, cut the ice. The other thing is that a lot of this, if you see the bill, it is regulation, regulation, and regulation. So there should be something for, say, like description of the scope of work. There should be all these confusions which are there right now for the civil engineers and architectural engineers are because there's no clear definition in the, say, Architect Act or in this act, or even about the practices and the services. So let this be clearly defined. Maybe it's a kind of, say, for different, say, branches. But if we don't have the description of practices and services, then in future again this confusion has to be, will be there. We are fighting, not only fight, see, every day, like, because APGC has most of, say, architectural engineers. So every day we are fighting this, say, CO amendments. Then, last week, all of sudden, they have started, say, they have tendered for each cantonment area. They have tendered for consultancy to modify their bylaws. So now each we have, say, hundreds of departments. They are making their own, say, bylaws. Let there be a standardization. Otherwise, how else we are going to work? We cannot go on for registering with each and every department which has crazy type of, say, bylaws. Now the bylaws which are there for cantonment boards are even they were drafted, I think, 1910 or something. So still they have that the drawing shall be on the butter paper and the drawing shall be on this. Now, it's a country of 140, say, 140 crore people, has, say, hundreds of departments. So through this bill, there shall be a kind of, say, standardization. And for standardization, we have to have defined, say, practice, services, bylaws, all these things. We need to see all these things in unison. The other point is like, now it's good to see that practicing, a lot of, say, practicing engineers now are there in IEI. Mr. Sur Prakash is there, Mr. Joseph is there. I have been co-opted as member for architectural board. So IEI is also realizing that also practicing engineer is also a breed which is there in the field. So they have got, say, better representation. They are elected, and gradually I feel that IEI will have, say, majority of practicing engineer. So this is what I have, that let there be proper mechanism. You want to regulate, but you also safeguard the engineers. You should have, say, you should indemnify also. You have a, say, if there is a collapse, let there be a fact finding mission or inquiry, but not before that you, say, go on, say, arresting people or something like that, arresting engineers only. So with that, I have means I think most of the points were already, say, covered. But at the end, what I see that the overlapping fields shall be taken care of in this engineers bill, so that in future this confusion between, say, different two, say, professions are not there, and the end of it is like say lobbying and lobbying. So we have to say lobby and try to the say hilt to prevail upon say our points and convince them to include them. If they are not concluding, then we go to the level above to them, so that no, we should not leave say any stone say unturned. We should try at all levels, and we should do in unison. There should be unity, and we should not hesitate in pointing out the wrong. We need not be very diplomatic that okay, yeah, let this bill be passed. Once a bill is passed, amendment will take say another say 50 years. So let the maximum amendments which we can get done shall be done right now. That's all what I have, and definitely we should have a kind of say united say one reply which we can say send to the ministry also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rahman. So you said that overlapping fields should be addressed, I think. This is important. And then you also said that yeah, it should be drafted carefully and so that there are not much amendments are needed immediately. Right. So now I will invite our last panelist today, Alok Bhamik, who is now the president of ISFT. And after Alok Bhamik, we will take we'll discuss the various issues which have been generated and which are the controversial, where we have a little difference of opinion. And also we'll take the questions and the comments from comment box from participants. So Alok, 5 minutes for you.
Thank you, Manoj. So speaking last, I have the advantage that most of what I had to say is already said. So I will only touch upon the points which probably is not discussed in detail. First and foremost, I think the draft is written with only civil engineers in mind. I think Professor Tandon made a mention of that. And as I can see that it is also being very, in detail discussed also with civil engineers. Today in this forum also, all of us, we are discussing with civil engineering cap. The unfortunate part is that this bill will be applicable for all other disciplines. 15 disciplines Institution of Engineers have, INAE has 10 disciplines, and we are not sure. You see, even as a civil engineer, we find there is so much of problem with this bill. We are not sure as to how this bill will be seen from the eyes of the other discipline. So therefore, I think this bill requires a very thorough sort of study by not only the civil engineers, but by all other disciplines also. So therefore, I think the first and foremost message that should be conveyed to AICTE by all the associations is that they should give more time for, really fine tuning this particular draft bill before it is actually sent to the parliament or to the ministry. And my suggestion to do that, because as the time is only 2 days to 10th, we have to submit our comments, all of us. It is impossible to come out with a united comment by all associations. That's not possible. What we can do is perhaps we can agree that all of us can suggest to AICTE that this draft bill requires a complete overhaul, for which a core committee comprising of some key members from various professional associations should be inducted, and that committee, including the already formed committee, 4 or 5 members they should jointly discuss on this draft and come out with a concrete proposal or the revision of the draft. I think that should be the way forward for this bill. I think most of the points are covered. Only one point which I wanted to highlight is there has been something mentioned about this Washington Accord and how to sort of have an agreement between the foreign engineers and us. I think these are out of sync with the draft engineers bill. This professional engineers bill do not require any mention of Washington Accord and about the how the foreigners will be. That is, I think, yes, some other thinking has gone into this. It appears to be a foreign element, foreign sort of sentences. This should be deleted, because today USA do not even recognize WTO agreements. Forget about the Washington Accord. I think if at all such things are to be done, that should be done separately. And one more point, what Dr. Udesh Kohli mentioned, that the rules should be separate and the bill should not have rules. But when you finalize the draft bill, you have to have the rules also in place before you actually take it forward. And it is very important that you first time see it in totality. Yes, the rules probably can be a separate annexure, which can be time and again changed. But you cannot see the draft bill in isolation without seeing it in greater detail with all the rules. So therefore, when we prepare the first bill, remember that we are talking about engineer's bill. All the other bills that we have, including the advocates bill, the medical bill, the maximum number of registered participants is about 13 lakhs. We are talking about more than a crore. So it is almost 8 to 10 times. So therefore, this bill requires much more sort of input from various disciplines before it actually can be considered as foolproof, at least to begin with. But I agree with Dr. Surya Prakash that yes, we must make sure that this time the bill passes through. We should not come as a hindrance now. I think that's my appeal to all. Thank you.
Just one clarification, Manoj. The rules, the definition of rules is different in the bill than the regulations. What we are thinking of rules is the regulations which is covered in the bill. The regulations will be made by the IPEC and they can be modified from time to time. By definition of rule, they are saying rule framed by the act of the government. So they are defining rule which is not part of the act. So I think regulations are equally covered, adequately covered, and these will be formed by the IPEC. Second point is, I agree with you, Washington Accord, that clause should be deleted. It has nothing to do with the Indian bill.
Yeah. Okay. Alok, anything else you want to say?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alok. So you made 2-3 important points. You said that there should be a committee. Name should be suggested to the AICT so that they can consider the various comments and so that there can be a revision, proper revision of the draft. Okay, so we can discuss that. And I think WTO should be removed. And then you are also saying that fundamental rules should be made in this, particularly as far as I understand, who will be registered as a professional engineer. An engineer at present in India must know through this bill who will be accorded the status of the professional engineer. I think that should be mentioned in this bill. That should not be left for future by a body which will be created, which looks like a government body. So I think there should be this clarity should be there. For example, an engineer will be required to undergo 1 examination, 2 examination, interview, this and that, whatever. How much experience will be, some basic things should be, I think, mentioned in this. So we can discuss all those things. So now after this first round, we have listened to all the panelists, their views, more or less on many points, there is a convergence, I think. But still...
Manoj, one clarification, Manoj.
Yes.
It is mentioned that engineers with 25 years experience will be registered.
Yeah.
So they have defined it. What we should say, 25 is too much. It should be 5 years, 10 years, like that.
Yeah.
But the bill defines that. It's not left blank.
Yeah. So basically what they are saying, okay, let's discuss first this issue only. At present, they are saying those who have 25 years experience will be registered in the first instance at present. Thereafter, it is not clear what will happen thereafter. Those who are not 25 years, okay, we can discuss 15 years or 5 years or 1 year, whatever. What will happen to other engineers who do not have 5 years experience or 15 years or 1 year? And what will happen in future? Who will be registered as professional engineer in future, with which qualification, which experience, and by which method? So I think this should be made clear, because at one point, at somewhere they have mentioned there a body will be created, a vertical will be created to formulate and to conduct examination, which will be in two modules. Module 1 will be general, and the second module will be in special discipline. So I think I mentioned earlier also, then if it means they are thinking that there will be some examination for future engineers to be registered as a professional engineer, and if this body will be created, it will be under this council only. And then if they are doing this thing, then what the LMO will do it? I'm not sure about it. So I think let's discuss and thresh out this issue first.
I think let's now
Manoj,
open
can
it to
I-
the public and listen to their views.
Yeah.
Because our views are all known, so let's listen to their views.
So I think though they
Manoj, can I just come in on this
yeah,
issue?
Alok, yes, Alok.
Yeah, so basically, if you see the intent, what is the intent of, why are we crying for this regulation? And what is the intent? And the intent, I think Professor Tandon read some lines. Basically, by definition, a professional engineer is the one who commands the authority to sign and seal engineering plans. I mean, if he is a civil engineer, structural engineer, so as to protect public health, safety, and welfare, and offer their services to the public. This is the by and large the prime requirement, so that we have a professional engineer. From that consideration, I think merely just because a person is having a 25 years of experience, good experience or bad experience, and qualification, in my view, if we simply go by the qualification and experience and register, it will not serve the very purpose for which we are asking for the regulation on professional engineership. It will defeat the purpose. We will be back to square one even after the registration. The nature of work and the quality of work is not going to improve.
So you are talking about the future or existing engineers also? I think you are muted. Alok, you are muted, I think. I can't hear you. आलोक आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही I think.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so what I am saying is this bill is for the not only for the present generation but more for the future generation. Let's put it this way. So therefore, when we set the necessary requirements, we have to keep the future generation in mind.
Okay, so you are saying for the first register or for at present we can have based on experience only, but for future there should be examination based, competence based registration.
So from that consideration, 25 seems to be a good number, because that
no,
means
25 years is
no, because younger engineers, you should register only when you make sure that they are in the right track.
Alok, we have it. We see. I don't know. This is my view. See, we in IS Techty we started a process. Nobody came to take our examination. Okay, ECI do not have any examination system, so they have some numbers. Institution of Engineer have some kind of examination. I do not know how many international or other professional engineers they have enrolled in how many years. And India has lakhs and lakhs. I think 1 crore. I think you were saying something. India has a crores of
1 crore.
existing engineers.
Manoj, I would like to add that Gujarat has this bill now 4 years or 5 years back, and till date they don't have a body, and they don't have a team who is going to design the paper or take the exam. So even after 5 years, it's just they had a bill and the bill is in the files.
Right. So
I think UP also have the bill, which is about 10 years old.
Where?
UP.
No. UP has no bill. UP has government orders. UP has government orders which give powers to practicing architectural engineer and civil engineers at par with, say, COA, based upon the core competence of the National Building Code.
Yeah. So I think we need for future, yes, true. There should be examination.
Manoj, let's open it now. We have enough talk, so let's open it.
Okay, so let me open it.
Now, one more point, continuous professional development is to be mandatory. And even if they have many years of experience, there has to be a measurement system and approval system. Otherwise, this professionalism won't happen. So let us also understand that it has to be there irrespective of experience. We have to keep learning, and learning is a continuous process.
Okay, so basically another question is, this registration is will be subject to renewal after some 5 years or something. I think it is not mentioned here in this bill. And
It's
on
a
what
very important point. Yeah.
Yeah, and on what basis it will be renewed? Based on CPD, I think it should be there. So that requirement should be mentioned in the bill. It is not there at present.
Agreed.
Yeah, that was the point I wanted to convey. Thank you, Manoj.
Yeah. So now let me take
The government, when we are dealing with the government, we have to be a bit careful, like they say, if any city which has no master plan for the last 10 years, their development board shall be dissolved. Now, most of the cities, they don't have a master plan every 10 years. So they can put anything in the paper, in the document, in the bill, but it has to be a practical, sort of thing, which should not be a kind of, hindrance for future, practicing engineers.
Okay, so let me take questions, whatever I'm seeing here. Dr. Udesh Kohli is saying to everyone, we should resolve here to oppose tooth and nail the proposed amendments in the architect's bill. Yeah, I think everybody agree to that. We should, because I don't know how many of us have seen those proposed amendments. In those proposed amendments, they have defined the architectural services. And in the architectural services, they have defined everything which an engineer should do. So if that bill is amended, then we will lose the fight. So this is very important. I think we should pay attention to.
Not only practice, they have defined services also.
Yeah, they have defined the services. What is architectural services? They have defined now.
Practice also and services also.
Yes. So
anything connected with built environment is their scope in that. So we have to definitely apply it. We have to very clearly specify that only architect element is in their scope.
Yeah. So Surya Prakash saying yes, sir. Then
Manoj, there's one other point. I agree with what you just now said.
Yes,
One
sir.
point I just came to my mind. There are bills or acts passed by several state governments. Now, what happens once this regulatory body comes? What happens to what they have done in the state? I think we should see that, whether it overrides that. What's the need for separate? In fact, we should point out that there should not be a separate legislation for different states.
Yes, this should be there.
Not sort of split things like that. Anyway, I mean, this is another point I just thought.
Very, very important point. Because this statewide bill are not good actually. This is very difficult for practicing engineers. Very difficult.
They are diversified. They have different conditions. They are different this thing.
Yes, yes.
So
and also they are only for civil engineers, and I think there's a complication into
it. Yeah, so this is a point which I just thought. Thank you.
Very, the moment bill is there, act is there, all these states say it will override all that.
No, that should be mentioned in this bill also. In this
it's normal. It's normal. Once say Government of India or the center takes up and issues a bill, so anything by the state is then redundant.
Yeah. Okay. So now Sarabjit Roy is saying non-civil engineers.
Not automatic. It has to be specifically mentioned.
It should be mentioned.
And then the education is a state subject as at the moment.
Yes.
There's another thing. It cannot override like that. It has to take concurrence of the states then.
Yes, sir. It should be mentioned in this. Yes, true. Then Sarabjit Roy is saying non-civil engineers will fully oppose this bill. In fact, actually, I talked to some non-civil engineers also, and I posted this draft bill in several groups where most of the members were engineers, but not civil engineers. And they are not interested. They just don't understand what is the meaning of that, why it is needed. They are just saying this is not required at all. I don't think they are even discussing and deliberating on this. I don't know. So
actually, Institution of Engineers has got all the disciplines. We have council represented by all engineering disciplines. In the council, this point was discussed about engineers bill, and everybody is in agreement to work for this bill.
Yeah, no, if that is okay. See, the problem is institution of engineers council, and they are far from reality to the large extent. You are there, very few people are there who are grounded actually. Otherwise, they just don't know what is happening in the ground. So that is the problem in the with the
Yeah,
institution engineers.
Surya, one more thing. We keep telling this. So the council is oriented towards us. So that is another problem. We keep telling this again and again. So who are members of the council is supporting us. That's why all discipline is supporting us. But Manoj told the real problem. The others are not keen in getting the professional practice right. So we have to make sure that it is spread in their societies also.
No, see, both Anil and Manoj, we very well know that civil engineering is a discipline where most of the engineers rely on professional practice, if we go by the percentage. Other disciplines, there are very less actually. We have electrical engineers practicing, we have mechanical engineers practicing, but that percentage is very less compared to the overall thing. That's why, but we are seeing nowadays of late the safety issues in industries cropping up, and because the engineers working are not taken to task. That's why they are not knowing, whereas civil engineers are taken to task.
Yes, yes.
Because we are
That is
directly
why
related
civil
to the
engineers are
public.
more keen to have this bill. That's
No,
true.
that is the reason. But in future, it is definitely, we all should say that the engineers bill is important for all the disciplines.
Yes, yes, yes.
Not necessarily civil engineering alone.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, definitely. And moreover, we have to make sure that there is insurance and professional indemnity. So if something goes wrong, our associate, the professional engineering council has to fight for the engineers, and we have to make sure that professional indemnity is also there.
No, there is only one risk,
Manoj,
there is
Manoj, I
only
will
one,
request you.
just 1 minute,
Yes.
Sudhirji. There is only one risk, you see, if all other disciplines are not interested and keeping quiet now, they may stall the bill when it comes to the parliament, when it is widely circulated. If this is not if they are not interested, but if they are covered under this bill, there is you run the risk of getting it stalled by the non-civil engineers. So I think that needs to be addressed.
Yes. Dhaman sir,
Manoj, I have one request.
yes, sir.
People are waiting in this room to speak something or say something. Let's give them a chance.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
you want
all
them
of us
to,
should keep quiet for some time.
yeah, so you want
We have
them to,
discussed a lot.
yeah,
So
no, just see, there are 112 participants. So we can
we should
ask
tell them to
those
speak
who
now.
want to speak, they can just request, and we will give the link to them to join.
Yeah, they can raise their hand.
Yeah, those who are in the participant, and those who want to speak and convey their point, they can just mention it in the chat box or something, and we will give the panelists.
I think already there are raised hands, about 8-9 raised hands.
Because you give the link to them, they will join. In the meantime, we can take few questions. Ravinder Shekhar is saying this time it's government which came forward and draft bill is circulated for objections and feedback. It should be ensured that all feedbacks be forwarded and close watch be made that the bill is tabled in the parliament, else it should be not met the style. Okay, role of engineers should also, okay, we will do that. That is true. That is their suggestion. We will do that. And then Mr. Hegde is saying, I agree with Mr. Surya Prakash. Our effort should be to push through this bill if required as it is, without giving any opportunity to stall the bill. Corrections can be made later also. No, I think we will do that, but we should try to make this draft as better as possible, as good as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have Sharad Kumar. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can
I am
open
from.
you can open your video also.
Oh, I think it is open.
Anyway, you carry on.
Okay, you speak.
Yeah, sir. I am from railways. I had gone through the whole today, whatever discussion we had. Basically, what appears if we are trying to involve the other engineers, of course, it has to be. But then this will go to the again in the files and it will see no light future. So somehow we have to make in such a way that without involving the rest of the engineers, basically civil engineers are more in the visibility and they are doing a lot of work privately compared to the other engineers. Therefore, there is a need to focus on the civil engineers. Second point is that it has been already discussed that we need to define the term who are going to be the practicing engineers. So the practicing means what? And then it comes the professional engineers bills. Again, we'll say what the professional we mean. Third will be coming. Apart from that, there will be some legal consequences and some responsibilities related to that. If any structure has been made and it failed, what is the responsibility is going to be on the professional practicing engineers, and whether he is really responsible or he has become a victim of it. So that way we need a protection as well as we have to take the responsibility. It cannot be one-sided. So these are the few points.
Yeah,
which I
I
wish
think
to.
your points are valid, but the thing is, we are not in a position to include or exclude other engineers actually, because this is a draft prepared by AICT and they have already included other disciplines in the draft. So we cannot say that do not include them, or I think, but other points are yes, we can taken care of. Yes.
So actually, therefore, I would say that it has to be very much general in nature instead of pinpointing something, so that the various associations who are recommending that so and so person is shall be included as professional engineer, they shall satisfy whether it is association related to civil engineering or mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. So let them define further rather than the bill will define. Bill can delegate these responsibilities to the other associations. Let them come and let them define, so that the bill will be in general in nature.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So anybody else? Where to see?
I think
Yeah, I would like to go if I get a chance.
Dr. Harshvardhan Subbarao, yes.
Right. There are two or three very important points I want to raise for the attention of all. That's the Engineering Council of the UK is exactly the role model we should be trying to mimic or develop for our country. It is a association. Various institution of civil engineers, institution of structural engineers, institution of welding, the nuclear chapter of so and so, and the welding institute. All of them are allowed to be members. Some of them are able to give chartership, the chartered engineer status, to those entities, and then they nominate persons who are eligible to go and get themselves registered independently at the independent regulatory body called the Engineering Council. Okay, the Engineering Council is run as a trusteeship. It is not run by government. It is not run by, it is a trust, and there's a board member and a permanent sort of a director general or secretary general type person, Paul Bailey, for it at the moment. It was founded only in 1981. So it's not some old, long-standing. And mind you, all the institutions of civil, all are well beyond 150 years old, 200 years old, many of them. From guilds, they have become practices, and from trades, they become practices, and they've become formalized engineering with their education and everything in those areas. So the first point is, what is the model and what is the purpose? Here we are lost. We are only focused on civil engineers. This is the argument that's been happening till now. I agree fully with it. The bill cannot go in the current fashion. Otherwise, it has to be purely called civil engineers bill. And if the architects can have their own bill, civil engineers can have their own bill. I see no problem with that at all. It's an act, it's a bill for protecting a particular profession, which are largely in the public eye, which have safety to public as its primary concern in everything that has deals with basic needs. So we can definitely have a civil engineers bill. Unlike clouding it and getting associated with so many others, we can break free from Engineering Council of UK's approach and have only a civil engineers bill. Next, even in the current form, all the points that have been made about it, but in the current form, 7E, Article 7E, for example, there are many flaws, but this nobody had pointed out. Why does this body need to accept monies, contributions, donations, and largesses, etc.? Then it itself becomes compromised. A regulatory body is not someone you give charity and donations to. Otherwise, you set it up as a trust. A trust is allowed to accept gifts and acts and it under the Charity Act. So that is the difference. Government seeking to regulate versus trusteeship to regulate. Trusteeship will automatically regulate through its professional bodies. The chair of that UK Executive Engineering Council is a practicing engineer. Okay, he might be a welding engineer or whatever. So just have a look up Engineering Council, all of you who are here, UK, and you will get parallels as to how it works, how the licensing system works, who is eligible, and it is not very, very different from what we intend to do at all. Only in our case, we will restrict it to civil engineers. That's the issue. And I'm all for a civil engineers bill. If the architects can have a bill, civil engineers can definitely have their individual bill. So Dr. Joseph Surya, I think, strive on this. I agree that the Institution of Engineers is all looking at all engineering disciplines. But if they're not going to unite with us, civil engineers are not prepared to wait. The message has to go through that civil engineers are not prepared to wait anymore. We are not prepared to be jailed for no protection. An unregulated engineer who collectively shoves blame onto all of us. I mean, unless we regulate, unless we have the entitlement of being a registered engineer and the safety it gives us. If I'm registered with the IPEC or whatever we coin whatever phrase you like, the regulatory body of engineers, if we are registered with them, that body should have us, each of its LMOs, as they call them, or their affiliated institutions, as they call them, who give the chartership status or who give the nominations for the National Register of Engineers. So civil engineers. So those are to conduct CPD. Those are to conduct what we call silver days in the UK. You have to have minimum of 40 silver days if you are a student engineer. If you are a practicing engineer, you have to have 60 silver days. If you are a research person and all, you have to publish X number of papers and have a silver engineer to maintain your CPD and your status and your improving status in your profession. So these are particular issues which we need to look at. I would suggest to, as Alok said, to buy time. There is this aspect of the Engineers Bill UK which we can read and borrow and modify from. And I am all for a civil engineers bill in Parliament. I am not at all for a common engineers bill. It is never going to happen.
Okay.
This having been said, I also object to the fact that larger seas, this is not a body unless it's set up as a trusteeship and under the charity commissioner to be accepting gifts and donations and so on. That itself effectively compromises the sanctity of an institution who has to register me. I feel compromised by approaching such a body. Yes. So I would argue these points for your consideration. There are many more. I will that's in writing up.
No, I think, thank you, Harshvardhan. You have made very important point. You say it should be on the model of UK, and then grant and money and charity and all those things should not be there, and it should be primarily for the civil engineers, right? Okay. Then any other? Any Vikas? Yeah.
Abdul Azim.
Azim?
I would like to speak.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
I'm B.R. Jain. We were discussing only civil engineers. I am a metallurgical engineer.
Hello.
I have got one basic question. Can you isolate civil engineering and make that they are the only profession which are need to be regulated? We have mechanical engineers, we have electrical engineers, electronic engineers. They are also working as consultants. They are also involved with the construction activity. See, metallurgy is there. We are also very much what we call conversant with the requirement of the bill, and we also want that bill. How can we be left alone and how can we be excluded from this? This is just not correct. Number one. Number two, my question was regarding that nodal ministry. Earlier, when the bill was actually being processed in 2000 and the first decade of 21st century and the last decade of 20th century, that time there was no separate Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Continuing with higher education will always make us that the academia will always dominate the bill. And this will continue in the future also. We cannot stop it. Number three, which I pointed out, what is the definition of a professional engineer? I have articulated in the chat box also. There are basic three requirements. First one, he should be a qualified engineer. If suppose a degree and diploma, whatever you want to clarify, it's okay. Second is he should be able to specify his specialization area. Number two, he should follow a code of ethics formulated by his peers. And the third and the fourth, the most important thing, that person should continuously on a sustained basis keep upgrading his skill and knowledge in his specialization. This is the basic requirement in our engineers today. We have about 3 to 4 crores engineers working in the profession today, in the industry or in the various fields. I am sure that 99%, more than 99% of them are outdated. The reason is After joining industry, after graduation, they have nobody cares to even open his book, forget about upgradation. And this is one of the major problems with the industry today. We are losing ground because of this reason. Our products and processes of industries are outdated. This bill needs to address that problem. If we are not able to do it, there's no point in having this bill. Period. This is my submission. Thank you.
Yeah, true. I think you made valid point. CPD is important, and you are saying metallurgy and other disciplines should be there. I think it is already there in the draft. All the disciplines are there. Only few members are they are just expressing their views, and most of us are who are on the panel. They are all civil engineers, basically.
Hi, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Abdul Azim is speaking from Kuwait, sir. I've been practicing structural engineering in the design office for the last 31 years. What I see is the engineer practicing in the office is entirely different from the engineer practicing at the site, even if he's a structural engineer. So there should be a criteria to differentiate with them, and even comparing to the normal civil engineer also. So third thing, what I see is that in every mohalla, what the buildings which I go and see and stay, more than 3-4%, as our geotechnical engineer said, they are designed without considering any design parameters or anything. There should be mandatory requirement for the geotechnical parameters, and any building more than 1 or 2 floors should be signed by a structural engineer who's practicing at the design officer. So this criteria should be very much needed in every mohalla, even at mohalla level also, sir. So this is the small suggestion which I want to give.
I think that cannot be there in the bill actually. I think.
No, I'm not talking about the bill. I'm talking about the when we are going for the professional endorsements and all that. So I'm talking about at that level, not about the bill.
Okay. Right. Anybody else?
Shashikant Yadav.
Hello. Can I speak?
Yes,
please.
Sir, I'm Shashikant Jadhav, Vice President, Piata, Mumbai. I would like to say that for the time being, till the examination syllabus and everything is finalized, we should continue the present practicing consulting engineers who are having a license, so that there will be continuity of their business. Otherwise, after publication of bill, no consulting engineer will be having a license. So we'll have to have that clarity in this implementation once it is passed. Second thing is that there is no examination is conducted by Architects Act, COA. So we should think of this also, so that our larger member may object for this also. So we'll have to take all this while deciding the transition from practicing having license to a license given by or registration done by our council act. So we'll have to have the transition process should be in place.
Yes,
that's all.
That's true. Yes,
Only thing is the architects are not responsible for the safety of the structure, but the engineers are.
Yes,
but I think your point is quite valid, because there should be some continuity, and you cannot just disrupt anybody's practice or anything. Just like Trump has done something, you just can't throw everybody out of life. So yes, true. And any other one? Thereafter, we'll just have the closing remarks. Yes.
One Sarabjit Roy wants to talk.
Sarabjit Roy, you want to speak?
Yeah, Mr. Imran Khan, please.
Srikanth Chanal is there. He's trying but not able to get. Srikanth Chanal,
Hello.
the KPCEA president.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Imran Khan, please.
गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल ऑफ यू। सर मैं तो बस इतना सा यही कहना चाहूँगा, मतलब जो जैसे कि हम आवास बंधु वगैरह का लाइसेंस लेकर अभी एज ए प्रैक्टिसिंग आर्किटेक्चरल सर्विस में वर्क कर रहे हैं, तो मतलब हमको तो ये इतना सा काम करने दीजिए जा, बस ऐसा ना हो इस बिल के आने से हमारा ये काम खत्म हो जाए। बस हम तो ये काम करते हैं अपना जो सबमिशन ड्राइंग होती है अप्रूवल वाली, तो आवास बंधु लखनऊ का भी एक गवर्नमेंट का ही सर लाइसेंस है जो हमें उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार की तरफ से मिला हुआ है। तो ऐसा ना हो कभी उस बिल के आने से जिसको हमने लाइसेंस को लेने के लिए इतनी जद्दोजहद की और यहाँ तक आने के लिए इतने सारे काम करे, पता चला लास्ट में आकर के उस बिल के आने से हमसे वही छिन जाए। तो हमारा मुद्दा ये है कि इसमें एटलीस्ट ये तो रखा जाए भाई कि अगर हम गवर्नमेंट से पहले से लाइसेंस प्राप्त हैं उत्तर प्रदेश से और एनबीसी की कोड के अकॉर्डिंग हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं, तो ऐसा ना हो उसको आने के बाद में, हम बिल के आने के बाद में हमसे ये छीन लिया जाए। तो वो तो एक बहुत ही बड़ा मुद्दा हो जाएगा, क्योंकि हमारे पास एक्सपीरियंस है नहीं भाई, हमें अभी ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 4-5 साल हुए हैं इस फील्ड में आए हुए। पता चला पीई के लिए 15 साल एक्सपीरियंस रख दे वो, तो हम तो ना इधर के रहेंगे ना उधर के रहेंगे। अभी हम जैसे तैसे अपनी रोजी रोटी चला रहे हैं अप्रूवल का वर्क करके, पता चले हमसे ये भी छिन जाए। तो मैं यही बात रखना चाहूंगा, कम से कम इतना तो रहे, जो ड्राफ्टमैन का लाइसेंस लिए हुए अपने लोकल एरिया में काम कर रहे हैं, आवाज बंधु का लाइसेंस लिए हुए लोकल एरिया में काम कर रहे हैं, एटलीस्ट जिसने भी जहां से ले रखा हो वो वहां तो करता ही रहे। लेकिन प्रोफेशनल इंजीनियर तो एक बहुत बड़ा ओहदा हो गया, जिसके लिए आप लोग नेशनली इंटरनेशनली भी वैलिड होते हैं काम करने के लिए। तो ऐसा नहीं है कि हम लोग इंटरनेशनली फाइट करेंगे नेशनली करेंगे, तो हमको तो इतना है कि बस कम से कम जो लोग अपनी, भाई हर किसी को आज की डेट में सर गवर्नमेंट जॉब नहीं मिल पा रही है, और मोस्ट ऑफ मेरे जितने भी फ्रेंड हैं मेरे सर्कल में, हम लोग जितने भी पास आउट हुए हैं 2020 से लेकर अब तक, सिर्फ मेरे 2-3 दोस्त ऐसे हैं जो गवर्नमेंट सर्विस में जा चुके हैं। बाकी सारे लोग इधर उधर धक्के खा रहे हैं, कोई प्राइवेट जॉब में धक्के खा रहा है, कोई कहीं खा रहा है। मैंने ही अपना थोड़ा सा एक ट्रैक चेंज करने के बाद में जो अपना कंसल्टिंग वर्क का ये किया था, और ये एपीजीसी ने मेरा बहुत साथ दिया इसमें लाइसेंस को प्राप्त करने में, कैसे चीज़ें क्या होती हैं, किस तरीके से करते हैं। तो आज मैं 1 साल हो गया मुझे अपना, ये 2 साल हो गए सॉरी, काम करते हुए अपना एज ए प्रैक्टिसिंग सिविल इंजीनियर। और मैं जो भी हमारी डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटीज होती हैं लाइक दैट एमडीए एडीए, इनमें सर अपना गवर्नमेंट अप्रूवल का वर्क करके अपना काम चला रहे हैं बस।
Mr. Imran, I think we appreciate your viewpoint and we understand your problems, and I think there will not be any such issue, and I think everybody is aware about it, and we will definitely everybody will take care of it. I think we'll do that.
Thank you so much, sir.
We understand that India is a very vast country, and there are crores of engineers, and they have all different kind of background, and they do different kind of things. So nobody should be in a disadvantaged position because of this bill. That is true. We understand that. True.
Okay.
Can I speak now? I am Srikanth from Bangalore.
Oh, Srikanth, yeah.
Thank you, sir. I hope most of the panelists have spoken many of the issues, but I would like to mention certain parameters which I feel that I should speak here. Number one, you have all mentioned about the broader deliberations that are required. And the other points that I would like to mention here is the board of governors, which they have already mentioned. Actually, we don't want that particular thing to again, monitor the IPEC, but if it is to be there, it should be professional concentric, and we should add more members from professional engineers so that it will become balanced. So we are proposing about 12 members from all the 4 zones, east, west, north, south. So that is for the board of governors. And the structure of IPEC should be totally, changed in the sense, one is we have to make there also the professional concentric. The bill should address the regulation of professional engineering across all disciplines, considering the India's, vast engineering workforce. For example, civil engineers alone, on one particular estimate, around 1.2 crores. When we have so much of only civil engineers, think about the other engineers, all together, there will be a humongous amount of work that needs to be done for the registration process. So in that case, we have to ensure that all these different disciplines should have different sub-councils within the main council. Otherwise, each identity and other things will mix up with the others, and the whole purpose of this particular bill will be not served. And the composition is concerned, this IPEC, presently they have proposed 27 members. So according to me, from our side, it should be increased by another 12 members from again the same criteria of zones, 4 zones of east, west, north, south, so that the number will go to 39. So the 11 plus 12 will become, majority of professional engineers in the IPEC body. Now, establishment of the state IPEC branches. See, this particular aspect we studied in a very large, broader sense. In the way we have got this Indian Medical Council, Bar Council, Dentist Council, Nursing Council. There are so many other councils which we went through even during our Karnataka, Act process by our legal experts and other things. And finally, what was concluded was here in our this thing, we should have a state council similar to other bodies. That is maybe a bar council or medical council and things like that. And state center will be responsible to register from that particular state or union territory, so that it will be a smooth functioning and the headquarters will monitor. This is how it is going on in the Indian Medical Council, Bar Council and other councils. So this is what we are proposing very strongly, because who is going to register and which profession is a professional body is going to register is a big mess. Because many associations are now asking, I want to be a member, I want to register, and you want to register. For example, ISTRUCT is a structural engineering concentric, and maybe the bridge engineers is bridge engineering concentric. So all these things will start emerging. So geotechnical engineering is that particular, environmental engineering. So different criteria should be gone on. The single agency should be established at the state centers, and through which the registration should start. That is another very important parameter we should take into account. Now, registration of engineers through these LMOs, if at all to be done in the beginning, yes, right now we don't have the state councils. Establishment may take some time. No doubt, we can have this LMOs, properly assessed, and a criteria should be set. And the first registration can be done through these LMOs, but it should not be continued further. There should be a limit, say 5 years or some particular years, and then the state councils should start functioning by that time, and the further things will be really smooth. And then recognition of the this particular sub-councils. Sub-councils should be for the different disciplines at the headquarters, and whatever the framing of the syllabus and other things are there, they should be made one of the stakeholders. Now, what is happening? There are some overlapping disciplines, or as our Surya Prakash mentioned, there are some professions which are overlapping, and we are facing a lot of difficulties for our practice against its architects and things like that. And we need to define through these sub-councils our profession and scope of profession very clearly in the beginning itself. Otherwise, we are going to land in trouble at a very later stage. Then right to practice, I think most of us have already mentioned, and the grade of profession in the registration. We need to have at a later stage the grades, that is number one. Whereas we should be very clear. One is the qualification, that we don't have anything to do with the qualification. Many people ask me, what about the qualification, upgradation and things like that? We are not to do in the council. It is only the regulation. And the competence is concerned, NBC, we are very clearly mentioning, and things are improving, and the competence will be very much deliberated in the NBC itself. Let us not venture into that particular aspect. Only thing is gradation can be done here for the different engineers and things like that. Only that kind of things. Now, then applicability. This applicability of this particular act or the bill should be for all engineers, the way it is there for the lawyers or the doctors, whether he is in the government sector, academic, research, practicing, or whatever the field is. If he is an engineer, he should have the registration number to work within the territory of India. Then include one, representation of Ministry of Science and Technology in the IPEC representation, which is missing, because that is a very important ministry that we need to have. Then rules and regulations should, how it has to be framed and other things. The council should be part of this rules and regulations, because in many of the councils, what happens is government only will frame the rules and regulations without taking into account of the professional members. So these are the few points with regards to IPEC. And as Surya Prakash mentioned, this bill has to be passed by hook or crook. That is what his this thing. Yes, we need to have broad-minded associations. We sit together, and we need to have, much more broad-minded, because each organizations will have his own intention. I want to have more members here. I want to do this work. I want to do that. Let us have one criteria that strength-based numbers or representation can be given in the council membership, whereas the registration is concerned only it will be for the first time and for the first registration, whereas the later stage, it should be separated from the LMOs or from the professional bodies.
Yeah,
This is
okay,
what
okay.
is
Yes.
my view. Thank you. Regarding
Thank
the
you.
architects' amendments and other things, if the discussions takes place, I will come to that little later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shrikant, for making important suggestions. So I think we can take one last Sarabjit Roy, and thereafter we will just have the closing remarks from panelists.
Hi Manoj, am I audible?
Yeah, you
yes,
are.
yes.
Okay, good. Now I thank Manoj, who's my engineering college batchmate from 1980, for inviting me. Manoj and I have been in touch over the years on the issue of Engineers Bill. I am also one of those firm proponents for Engineers Act. However, I am a non-civil engineer, and let me start off by saying firstly that at our time when Manoj was in college, civil engineers were maybe 10 or 15% of the total engineering population. Right? So they cannot be allowed to have such a disproportionate weightage on any engineering council or engineering act when it comes up. The elephant in the room is the IT professionals and computer people and so-called engineers who are taking over the engineering label today. We have to work that issue out also. Right? This entire act is coming through in a hurry. It is a very rushed bill. It is certainly not what we would like to have. It is obviously coming because foreign engineers want to enter the country, like they are trying to get in for chartered accountants, lawyers, etc. They want the right to practice in India. We have to fully oppose them. This Washington Accord, which they are referring to, is a good starting point. In fact, I am not in favor of asking for its deletion. It is a good starting point because it gives Indian engineers a reciprocal right to practice abroad. The problem is that our Indian engineers are not up to the mark. Let us be very blunt and honest about this. On technology, we are bad. I'm not talking about civil engineers. I'm your opponent in the house of civil engineers. Right? So please hear the other side also. Okay. Civil engineers are disproportionate. I know if a bridge collapse or a house collapse or a AWHO or other society has to be brought down, you people are the people who allowed it to come up in the first place. I am National Convener India Against Corruption, Hindu Raksha Dal, Swadeshi Dakran Manch, the entire lot. Manoj knows it. I have stalled many bills. And as a, I am not a member of any association. My father was an FIE, Institution of Engineers. I used to go along with mechanical, electrical. I used to go with him to many meetings. I did not find Institution of Engineers to be my cup of tea. Even today, I'm a Buddha, but I would not like to join any such association. I'm an individual practicing engineer, Harfan Mola. When I left as a mechanical engineer, BITS Pilani in 1980, I joined Eicher as an automotive designer, went into machines, went into armaments, mechanical. I designed probably India's first, I wrote India's first computer virus inside Mr. Prithviraj Chavan's organization in 1980.
Thank you, Sarojit ji.
Right?
I think
so I'm a practicing engineer, and I'm telling you, the word engineer is of great value to me. We've been fighting it
Thank
for
you.
1970s. It has value. My observation is we should follow the Architects Act of India, 1961, because
Which act
maximum autonomy to the legal profession to the extent that they are not under government control. And the model is different. It makes no difference as an advocate if you are a civil advocate, criminal advocate, corporate advocate. You are all an advocate. So have state-wise representation, not your individual structural engineer, civil engineer, mechanical engineer associations. These don't work. The problem today, in my view, is institution of engineers. They are seeking to occupy the space. Their degrees, so-called AMIs and all, which the court eventually had to stop, is responsible for polluting the engineer pool.
I think this should be stopped. What is this? Not related to topic at all. No, you are not here to judge about IEI, okay? We are talking about engineers bill.
Okay, Sarabjit. So
why should institution of engineers be a
no,
permanent?
talk about engineers bill, nothing else.
I'm talking about engineers bill. Why should
no, just a minute.
Sarabjit, when there are 35,
yeah,
when there are
Sarabjit,
30,
listen.
come into rotation.
No, that is
come into rotation, sir.
no, that is true.
What is
Sarabjit,
the
just a bit.
role of institution of engineers?
Sarabjit, so basically, you are saying that WTO, etc., should not be there. That is problematic, and we should follow the advocate bill model, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Manoj,
No,
please.
I think let us conclude.
Thank you.
Manoj,
Yeah,
we have
let's
already
conclude.
exceeded the time.
Yeah, Manoj.
May I
Yeah,
add 2
Manoj.
points?
I think
May I
Dr.
add 2
Udesh
points, please?
Kohli,
So I
Dr.
think
Udesh Kohli,
I
wanted
think
to say.
we have taken.
May I add 2 points, please, if you would permit?
Who is there?
I'm B.R. Jain.
Okay, Mr. Jain.
One is regarding the
You are from ECI, right?
There's a difference between our bill and the bills or the statutory recognition given to architects, lawyers, and medical counsel. See, basically, we are not including education in our bill. Education is a totally different area which is being looked after by AICT or UGC or Government of India. And that also is the state subject. Now, because of this, we cannot have state councils dominating over the total, engineering profession. The reason being, I'm a metallurgical engineer and I'm from Rajasthan. There are no steel plants there. Steel plants exist in, say, Jharkhand or Odisha or Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh. The problem is that if I have to work there, then I cannot be a part of the state council. So engineering profession as it is should be regulated on a national level, not on state level. That is one point. Second point, which I was talking about, was the nodal ministry. There the question comes in, if you continue with Ministry of Higher Education, again, academia will continue to dominate. And this we cannot in any way let them go. They will continue to be a very much an important part of this bill, and they will continue to dominate. So we have to ensure that the correct nodal ministry should be the Ministry of Skill Education, Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, because we are talking about post-qualification. We are not talking about education, a part of the education. We are talking people who are already educated and who have to increase their, who can upgrade their skill and knowledge. So that is my submission. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. So I think we have heard all panelists. Then thereafter we have listened to all the many of the comments and from participants. So I think now we will just go one by one again, and we will take the closing remarks from everyone in few minutes, whatever they want to say. So some important point I think we need to address or decide on is, I think we all agree that there is a issue with the composition. So we can discuss that. Then it should be for professional practicing engineers. I think most of us were talking about. And then first registration should be as liberal, as practical as possible, so that nobody is working is not disturbed. Or for future, I think there should be some kind of examination or something. And ALOMO should be, its model seems to be okay. And further time is required to revise the draft, just make a committee. And overlapping field should be addressed. And and how to go ahead, I think we need to discuss that. And as much as possible, we should have a rules in place, particularly regarding registration of professional engineers, because if it is to be a government body in some way, then it will be very difficult to make the rules which are conducive to professional practicing engineers, because they will not be able to understand what are the needs of practicing engineers actually. So in any way, so now we will just go one by one and as a concluding remark. So we can start with Professor Tandon.
I think, Manoj, what we should do is write down these things and circulate, because we have discussed
we will write, yes. We will write each and every
instead
point.
of again going back around, it
No,
doesn't
I
help.
think I was saying 1 or 2 minutes. Any just we can take 1 or 2 minutes. After
I think let
discussing,
us take only 1 or 2 minutes
yeah,
in
not
this
more than
summing
1
up.
or 2 minutes, not more than 1 or 2 minutes. That's all.
Yeah.
Tandon
So, thank you, Manoj. I think that people have highlighted many of the faults which exist in the draft. Probably they are correct. But this should not be an excuse to shoot it down, because then we will be where we were 30 years ago.
54
This
years
bill,
ago.
sorry?
Yes.
54 years ago.
53 years ago, 72. Yeah.
63 years ago. But I want to tell you one thing. Since I've been a part of many of these bills, etc., this is one of the good bills. I am not saying that it has got no faults. All the
1800
faults have been
tons, huh?
pointed out. So,
Yeah,
what
that's
we
what.
have to do
18,000
is,
kiloton. That means 1800 ton.
huh? Mr. Surya
Prakash,
Prakash.
Surya Prakash, mute
Surya,
karne
Surya,
No,
Surya,
okay,
please mute.
done.
So long as you agree with me, it is okay.
So we have to agree with you. We have no other option.
Yes, I think that we have to go forward, even at the cost of some things coming in the bill which we are not happy with and things like that. I don't think that should come in the way of going ahead and getting this bill passed.
Right. So improve, but go ahead.
Yes, sure. I mean, there are so many people. I mean, people have given so many suggestions. I think that those are suggestions.
Yeah,
But
we will compile all those.
you can. And I mean, if people have not even understood what is the practicing engineer, why are we getting what is the need for this bill? The need for this bill is that if you are doing something which is going to affect the public, for example, then you should be a professional engineer before you undertake that job. You should not be any engineer who has got a degree in whatever branch of engineering that you've done. That is not enough. You have to develop more skill sets to do the work which you are doing, which affect the health, safety of the public.
Yes.
That is the need for this bill. Why we want it is because of that.
Yes. So message from your side is improve, but go ahead.
Yes.
Dhawan Saab.
The points have been mentioned by many people, and now we should go ahead. And one is the Ministry of Science and Technology can be considered as the nodal ministry, which used to be there when CDC was there and all that. Skill development may not be the right ministry, but science and technology will be able to understand and help us. I am not in favor of forming another committee of again discussing the draft bill and all that. There is no never ending. We should just compile and send the comments to AICTE and let them go ahead and move on. Thank you.
Okay. So you are saying science and technology should be the nodal
one of the ministries to be
one of the ministry.
One of the ministries.
Okay. Udesh Kohli Saab, Dr. Udesh Kohli.
I think Sari is not there. Yeah.
He is not there.
Okay. Anil Joseph, you can speak.
Yeah. So for me also the point is that have clearly pointed out that we should have at least something to first pass through and make sure that the act is coming. And we have to depend currently on Ministry of Education, and there will be some government interventions, but we have to make sure that this is coming through so that this is a beginning, and that will be a big weeding process because so many non-engineers are practicing. That will go out. So that weeding process has to start now, and there will be the quality upgradation also has to happen. CPD has to be made mandatory, and we are covering it, and we all of us to be united together. And let me tell you, Institution of Engineers India, as being the chairman of Civil Division Board, we are also there, and we are discussing with all our 15 colleagues all the division board members, including CATA chairman, we are informing them. She is from chemical engineering, but we are informing them and asking their support to support us with all the disciplines possible to make sure that we are making to ensure that it is getting done. So that is the goal. We should get all united. Like Manoj pointed out, different discipline also has to be voting to so that we are pushing it through.
Right.
That's all what I would like to say.
Good. Thank you. Surya ji?
Yeah, actually, I first
आप डबल हो गए हो,
congratulate
डबल हो
IS.
गए आप, दो जगह से हो गए.
Can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I congratulate IS Turkey for organizing this very effectively, involving all the concerning parties. And definitely, we should all be united to see that this bill is passed with modifications, if possible, definitely. And we should protect all the professional engineers through this act.
Right. Rahman Saab?
Yeah, I think iStructure has provided a good platform to some of the stakeholders in this, as this is kind of very diverse branches of engineers who will be represented here and who have different kind of approaches, as we heard from one of the participant. But as I said earlier, that we have to give our comments to the AICT. First is that let there be the majority of stakeholders in their different committees, in their board, in their IPAC. Let there be more participation of the stakeholders rather than bureaucrats and then representatives. The other is that this was very well pointed out that let this registration be a kind of uniform registration for all states, for all departments. Let there not be again this kind of problem for the professionals that they are going from one department to other. But despite if you see just a small information, despite all these acts, you see in Madhya Pradesh somebody was operating hearts. He was doing cardiac surgery and he was not even a doctor, and he has even operated the speaker of the state of Jharkhand. So now we live in such a state, so we have to be particular about prevail upon the government, and always we'll say that okay, we are doing in the public interest. I think all our comments shall go with this very highlighted that whatever we are suggesting is suggesting for the public interest.
Okay.
And we do lobbying jointly, and you people being in Delhi can do it better, because I'll definitely try to fix up once this deadline is crossed, then with the Ministry of Education. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
think that is.
So I think Udesh Kohli is not there. I think he has left, I think.
I'm left.
So Alok, now you can speak.
So number of points. So number one, I think what we have decided by and large today is that all associations will give their comments independently, separately. But by and large, whatever most of the points are common, so that should go, number one. Second, whether we like it or not, this will go to AICTE because they have only drafted the bill, and it will go through the Ministry of Education only, no other ministry. Third, I think, I still strongly feel that we should suggest, one of the suggestions should be to sort of spend more time. Presently, we are served with a half-cooked food, and it should be fully cooked so that, it is tasty. So I think for that, we need to really suggest to AICTE that though these are the broad comments, but these comments, in order to incorporate, you need to expand the committee, include in this committee people from the different disciplines other than civil engineering also, so that the draft, takes into account the views of all the professions. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we have listened to all the panelists and everyone. So yes, thank you. We had a lot of good deliberation, and I think we more or less have common views on many of the points. And wherever we have issues, I think those issues are also common, most of them. At some point, we have a different viewpoint. So what we will do now, based on today's discussion and the suggestions we have received, we will also compile the various points which we have covered, and we will also circulate to all the people who have attended and other professional bodies also, like CEI has shared their views, ECI also shared their views with us and others. Similarly, we will also share our views with other bodies, and thereafter, today 8th, I think by tomorrow we will share our views also. And then before 10th, I think all of us independently, most likely, because I don't think there can be a joint possibility not there. So all of us independently taking care of the views, whatever we have discussed and whatever the views or comments of different bodies are there, we should send our comments to the AICT by 10th. And I think there's no harm in my view if we can also suggest AICT that yeah, we are submitting the comments, but we had little less time, so we'll like to have more time. And if we can have a committee to review and discuss these comments and improve this further. If they agree, then it's better. If they do not agree, still we can't do anything about that. So I see no harm in suggesting to requesting to AICT for that. So with this, I think I would like to conclude this session, and I thank all the participants and particularly the panelists who I think we have taken 2.5 hours. I thought 120 minutes will be more than enough. So we have devoted enough time. Thankful to all the participants and panelists for sparing their time, sharing their experience. And I think it is important for all of us to devote time on such issues. So thank you, everyone. And so we will share our comment by tomorrow. Okay, Alok?
Thank you, Manoj,
Thank
for
you, Manoj.
excellent
Thank you.
moderation.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, ISIT, and thank you, Manoj and Alok, for this.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Yeah.
Manoj.